podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Snobs podcast. How are you today? I am Mick Manhattan, and I am joined, as always, by my partners in crime, Mr. Producer Paul. And Mr. Smash.
What up, fam?
And it is good. It's fun because the theme of this year is friendship. Because what's the strongest ship in the fleet? Friendship.
Friendship.
And how do you ruin friendship? You talk about movies. So
you're not wrong.
Many friendships have been ruined by talking about fine art.
Debating them. Yeah.
Oh, but I don't think, do you think there's ever been more debate about any art than movies?
Art.
No.
Well, no, I mean any kind of art, any kind of certain principle or discipline. Like paintings. Would you say that it's there on the sheer volume of debate that goes on?
Would you count? So, I mean, the oldest debates really come down to philosophical ones, right? So, like when you're talking about ancient philosophy, would that, because it predates it, just been around forever? Music is up there for sure. Famously, Aristotle was playing the lyre one time and somebody criticized him and he slapped him in the face. Sports is up there. Ruling power.
What do you think? What do you think, Paul?
I feel like sports falls more under entertainment than art. I feel like there's a difference, at least there. But I do feel movies have been talked about a lot more just because there's so many more movies. And I feel like everybody, for the most, like I'd say at least 90% of the population does enjoy movies, as opposed to not everyone loves art or loves paintings or sports. So I feel like movies just kind of talked about a lot more by more people because everyone can connect.
It really is the perfect art form.
Definitely up there. It's also like,
hey, Chris.
It's like a Gestalt. If you want to put it in like German terms, it's the Gestalt media too, because it's a combination of all other media. And so you have this kind of like, I mean, we just talked about scores.
True.
Last week, right? So you have music, visual, emotional, personal investment. I mean, we're talking about heroes today. Talking about like, you know, how many times you've walked out of the theater and been like, that's just like my friends. You know, it is. So movie is like this Gestalt form, this big picture form that like our small, tiny lives kind of have this little like blow up for 2 hours. Hopefully only 2 hours. You listen in Hollywood. But
they have it hard enough right now. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Los Angeles and everybody suffering right now in the wildfires. But yeah. So don't pick on Hollywood too hard.
Radar's in the theater right now. Awesome. I hope he's watching.
The only person in the theater besides an older couple watching what?
An older couple. Can we guess? Let's guess what he's watching.
Damn. Oh yeah. Let's guess what Radar's watching. Okay, so Radar is watching. He's not. Oh,
a complete unknown. I'm gonna go with a complete unknown because it's old people with him.
I'm gonna go Nosferatu.
Damn.
I think you probably have it. What do you got for us, Shake?
That was my guess, Nosferatu. That was my guess.
Nosferatu. Well, you got to tell us now, Radar. And if
Radar, you got to tell us if you can. You might.
Peter Pan Neverland Nightmare. I love it.
Never would have guessed. Never would have guessed in a million years.
I didn't know that was a movie.
I didn't either.
Hopefully going tomorrow.
Jesus.
Oh my gosh.
Now I got to look this up.
Yeah.
So it's a part of that Winnie the Pooh horror movie franchise. Oh, thank God Sturdy clarified that because I'm going to be like, what? Like, is this like a third one in the series? My friend Blaine friggin' plays Peter Pan. Could have at least told me.
Radar's actually in an adult movie theater, so it's actually a porn parody.
They have beer here. Listen,
we have a lot of theaters in Michigan that you can get beer and cocktails at. It's actually really awesome. We've had them for about 4 or 5 years. It's great.
Yeah,
you can have ones that you can have like sit down dinner and they bring you stuff tableside service.
Yeah, we have an Alamo here that does that as well. And I listen. They always put up a good menu. Which will be my first movie of the year. Can't wait. I'm going to Wolfman.
Yeah.
Oh.
Same.
My first movie of the year in the theater.
When's that release?
Thursday.
Oh
wow,
yeah.
I didn't know it was that soon. The
Yeah.
first preview I saw for it was on Nosferatu. So Nosferatu was my first of the year.
There's some cool. Remind me when we're off because I can't share it right now because it's great information I put on a Patreon. There's some cool dark universe stuff I want to talk to you guys about.
Heck yeah.
If you want to go to Patreon, you'll find out soon. But I'll tell you guys about it.
Scan that QR code at the bottom.
Do not tell Sturdy. He's not allowed to know. I will tell you this. Oh, sorry. I got like an acid indigestion thing. Okay. I messed up this one.
Oh, no.
It's called old. Yeah. That's it. That's what that's called.
Maybe I think it's so for breakfast.
Oh God, here we go.
So for breakfast, I had my coffee. My iced coffee. I don't care what anybody says. I enjoy a good iced coffee. I'm big. I sweat. Hot coffee makes me sweat harder. Iced coffee cools my body temperature. Nobody wants to look at a very sweaty bear. So with
some people might want a pretty sweaty bear.
All right, yeah. I don't want to look at a very I have long hair now, so it's like it doesn't help.
It glistens.
But here's the conundrum of what I'm telling you. This is why am I going so hard into the iced coffee drink? Is because my breakfast was 2 cups of lobster bisque soup.
Oh no, Mick.
Bad choice.
Oh God.
No. Coffee was the bad choice. I should have just had the bisque. The bisque was very good. That's my favorite soup.
Really?
Yeah.
Not like chili or
chili's not a soup.
Chili's a soup.
Chili's a stew, if anything.
You don't think stew is just soup?
No. There's a difference. You don't have to eat I don't, Paul. What do you think? You're not over there.
I think chili's more of a soup. I'm with them on that one because I think stew has the ingredients and it's just its own thing because of the ingredients.
If chili is a soup, then so is hamburger helper.
You are making chili wrong, sir. So the difference is this mix. I'm getting in my mind this like dry. Pure beans and meat with maybe some diced onions, and Mick ladles it into a bowl. And there's very little like tomato base in it or anything like that. Probably not seasoned right.
First of all, I put chorizo in my shit too. Ooh, calm it down.
Fancy.
I mix it up a little bit.
You don't have to put the chorizo on just because Paul's here. He's not going to judge you.
I don't care if Paul's here or not.
I don't even need chorizo on.
And I owe that to this fine establishment in Manassas, Virginia, called Zandra's, which I have not been to in years, but I assume it still is good. They had chorizo tacos, and I tried them, and I was like, the first time I ever had chorizo, and I was like, this would be great in my chili. So
chorizo con limon.
I don't know. Don't. I'm not going that deep.
I didn't have chorizo for the first time till last year. Matt introduced me to it. Actually.
Oh, it's so good.
It's chorizo dip for the chips.
I might need everyone to write in here on this one.
I'm going to make some chili and I'm going to mail it to Mick.
No, I do want to try your chili, and I'll do the same. We can freeze them and send them.
I have a recipe that was handed down from my great grandfather who came here in 1903, I think. Well, he was first for my mom's side of the family, and it's a legit recipe. It's a 3-bean chili, and he was German, lived on the edge of Germany and Poland. And it's just phenomenal. The key part really, I mean, not to make fun of The Office, but like the key part really is letting the onions like settle with the meat before you do other things with it. And like it's just really damn good chili. But it's tomato based. And it's very soup. It's soup with beans and meat in it. Like,
you heard it here first, everybody from Mexico. The best chili comes from a recipe from 1903, right here in America. Was it in Michigan? Was he from Michigan?
Well, when he originally, so I lived in Ohio, and then he met my great grandmother in Michigan while he was like lumbering, like for lack of a better way to put it, because he wasn't a lumberjack, but he was like hauling wood. And the rest is history. They bought a place in Pentwater, Michigan, and started a farm and raised 16 kids. That's what you did back then, and the rest is history.
I don't know why this American Pie type of scene popped in my head where I'm dressed just like Paul over here. And I keep walking in the bar, and it's like summer, and everybody's like, "Why are you dressed like that?" It's because I'm hauling lumber over here.
Oh my gosh.
I could see you doing that.
I would 1,000% do that with my accent and all. I told a story the other day on one of my From the Collections on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And like it got deep. Like I was talking about, like, Mario likes movies when I started there, and there's a hint of my Jersey accent pops out during it, because like I start telling the stories.
You lost that non-regional dialect.
Oh, I worked so hard for. I worked on that because when I was an actor, I was like, nobody wants to hear a Jersey accent. So like I was like, if I'm going to take this seriously, I got to get rid of the accent. And I did. And now I feel like a fraud.
Oops.
So
you got 5.
It's 2020.
I can't wait. I'm gonna make chili now. Like probably I might make it tomorrow or Thursday. I'm gonna make chili, and I'm gonna send you a picture of it, Mick. I'm gonna be like, "Is that soup?" And you're gonna be like, "Yeah, that's soup."
Yeah, because you sent it in a picture. Get it? I like that for everybody who's
God bless. Sorry,
for
guys.
anybody who's listening to this later, fucking Dan had to make sure he did the click sound.
That's how you know, like you were born in the 1900s, man. Is like that's how you show taking a picture.
What's the international sign for phone? Yeah. Okay. We're all of age. That's how we're gonna figure it out down the line. Who's cool?
I like that. I'm gonna use that as a test now for new friendships.
Did you guys ever have to use an actual rotary phone?
Yeah, that's what I had.
That's what we had in the 80s. Yeah, like we had
I did
a
have
full
my
rotary
grandma's
phone. Like it was wild. We had a party line. Oh my gosh. You'd pick up the phone and somebody down the road would be on the line because there was only one phone line that went through the country.
That's true. I think it ran through everybody's neighborhood. So, Paul, you said you had it at your grandmother's. Let me ask you this: was it one of like the stand ones where it's in the front, or was it hanging on a wall?
It was the stand one. It wasn't the one on the wall.
The one on the wall was such a pain in the
yeah. Especially if
she might have had that. I was just
like,
little, I was short, so
that's fair.
I couldn't reach up there because I'm the same height that I was when I was a child.
I'm not gonna love it. We haven't even talked about our main topic.
Chili super stew. Weigh in, people.
Yeah, weigh in on that one. It is not a soup. If that's no, you can't call it a soup. A soup is a soup.
It's listed under the soups in restaurants, though,
because it's cooked in the same in a similar fashion. It's a stew. We got Sturdy saying it's a stew, and stew, in my opinion, is not, because you're going for the meat and the vegetables and stuff in a stew, just like you are. You don't need all that extra juice and shit. But in the soups, it's got to be liquid.
How many times has Sturdy seen Blood Lake at this point? Would you say
70?
Okay, so he's omitted from opinions on anything. If you've seen it,
that's not fair. I've seen it more than him. Just because I'm losing my mind doesn't mean I don't know what a soup and a chili are. All right, let me ask you this: would you eat soup at a football game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. You wouldn't eat soup at a football
I
game.
ate sushi at a
What are you,
baseball game in San Francisco.
What are you, an Eagles fan in 1972 Philadelphia, and you have a thermos with soup in it? Like, Jesus.
That sounds so
No.
nice.
Nobody would do that.
I would try. I can't get into gates with a thermos nowadays. You know what they're going to do if I walk in with something like this, Mick? I'm done. You're going to see me on the news. Can't be doing that.
You can't. Okay. Would you drink soup out of a bottle?
I mean, I drink it out of thermos, which is
Thermos.
bottle
Yeah, I've
like.
done that before. Yeah.
But would you drink chili out of a bottle?
Absolutely. It'd be so delicious.
This
That,
is
like,
so
tomato
disgusting, and it's
beef-
not true.
That tomato beef base. Oh my gosh, that tomato beef.
But
Base, it'd be like so hearty and like.
I won't drink chicken noodle soup out of a bottle though either. So that's not a good.
Oh my god, we got a long time listener from Matt
Well,
versus
hold on one
Smash
second.
commenting.
I'll get to that one. Let me see what Sturdy's got to say real quick. No, chili is generally not considered a soup. It's more commonly classified as a stew due to its thicker consistency with a higher ratio. So you're making soup wrong.
That's bad chili. I would argue that's
solid,
bad chili.
solid ingredient. What are you talking about? You're insane. That's a soup. You are making a soup. You're making a ground beef soup with some chili powder mixed in. You're making pho is what you're making. That's 100% what you're making. You don't know what chili is. I agree with Chris. Chili is its own thing. And now, Smash, if you would please further.
It's good to see you, Ryan. I'm over my Jaden Daniels fear now. It took a week, but I'm ready to destroy Jaden Daniels. I needed some time. That's all. I needed some time.
We shall see. And you gotta go check out Betting Bros for that one. That was a fun one.
Friday, 6 p.m. I'll pitch it again at the end.
Oh my god. Listen, let's just move on because I can't talk about chili anymore. You can weigh in, everybody, but let's focus up because we got an amazing conversation coming to us. We are talking about movie heroes tonight. This is something that, like, for me, I was like really, like, as it was coming into my head, I'm like, how much we see a lot of pop culture always quoted, heroes talked about in our own right, different people. But what about, do you feel like movie heroes have become this thing that influence people and how they act now? I really want to, like, deep dive into this.
I would say yes, because I got I'd say the younger generation after me, especially because I know some guys that like kind of live by some of the philosophies they see in their heroes, such as, you know, Batman would like literally would tell me, oh well, Batman would never, you know, smoke marijuana, so I'm not going to smoke because he doesn't smoke, and that's why I don't, you know, I'm straight edge because it's what Batman does too, you know, things like that. So I get that's an extreme, and I'm not saying most people are like that, but I do think it plays a huge factor in some people's lives like that.
Oh, I don't disagree at all, honestly. I don't know. I think that, yeah, the more I was thinking about this, I realized like what heroes were for me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a situation where I found myself in more fear than kids should, and like turning to my comic book heroes or my TV heroes was always like a good feeling for me. It always felt I don't know. It always felt like comforting. Like I knew, like I felt like I could be that. I could aspire to something like that. And I don't know. I just always felt like those types of heroes were important to me. So maybe it made me think of this. Like, and Shake, I know you got a lot on this, and I would love to hear kind of what your take is, especially as a teacher.
So you got two different levels here. You have like my own experience, and that's like, I mean, you know, geriatric millennial, late Gen X, earlier millennial, whatever you want to call me. To a certain extent, I felt like my moral code, I don't know how else to phrase it. My inner monologue, whatever you want to say, was derived from heroes that I watched, you know, when I got home from school or Saturday mornings, you know, and I don't want to give away people from my list or anything, but to a certain extent, like I mean, people would say WWJD, right? Like, remember the bracelets and stuff?
Mhm.
And for me, it was like, what would Optimus Prime do? What
Yeah.
would Duke do? What, like, what would Lion-O do? Like, it sounds nerdy as a kid, but I mean, I was 5. I didn't know. And
No,
like,
no,
so
no. That's
yeah,
no.
like,
Please don't put it down.
I would really, and that translated as I got older into like some heroes from books, especially. But I would argue, so if you take it to the largest scope, we have this undercurrent in our entire civilization where these archetypes that reflect our values and our tropes as people. And so what heroes actually are a reflection of the things that we desire, right?
Mhm.
And so who we actually are putting on a pedestal is ourselves. The best version of ourselves, whether you want to call it the like super ego, if you're into the Freud pseudoscience or whatever you want to call it.
Or your
Heroes are
smashes
just
list.
heroes are just a reflection of exactly what is already present within us.
I
And
didn't know
so,
that.
Like, that's how I view it in terms of a literary aspect. Think about, like,
Hmm.
some heroes are flawed, but they said this about, like, every single literary vision kind of comes to that. That's why I love John Carpenter, because he gives this whole speech about, like, there are only really 2 horror stories to tell.
Mm.
That's scary outside the fire because you can't see it, and that which scary because it's inside your heart. And that's usually the scarier one, right? So if you think about heroes, there are 2 types of things to celebrate. The thing we can never attain, which is one kind of hero,
Mhm.
but the thing that we all wish we could attain and probably can, which is inside. And like, I think that's the biggest level breakdown that I can do for it. And it's just present, and why heroes
I mean,
are
we could have used
so
a broader breakdown, like, we got anti-heroes, we got, we have altruistic, on the cusp of being a villain, but brought back, stuff like that.
I really think
no,
that
I'm
it's
kidding.
a reflection, and that's
I like that. I like that a lot, and it makes me feel better about my list because I'm like, oh, all right, I like what I'm striving for here. Well, some of them, in a moral and integrity standpoint, but maybe not in a bank account standpoint. I don't have a lot of rich heroes, so
man, well, I have one. I have one really rich hero.
I don't think I have no rich heroes. In fact, almost every one of them are known for their virtue and not pursuing more than what they have to. And I love that. I love that about my list. But I don't know. Smash has layers like an onion.
Ryan probably doesn't know this, but I mean, essentially have a PhD in literature. So
wait. Do you or do you not have a PhD in literature?
I quit halfway through because I got bored. But
stop getting bored, go back and get it, and then we can call you doctor.
I don't want to.
I don't. Dr. Smash. I like that.
I definitely don't want to be doctor.
If you don't think
you could be someone's hero,
if you don't think I'm going to exploit a doctor on this podcast and be like, well, this is a doctor approved podcast. Everything we talked about is doctor approved. Doctor Who? Dr. Smash.
Like, I can't prescribe medicine, so I don't really like.
We don't need you to prescribe medicine. We need you to prescribe good feelings. No, you quiet down. We do not promote any type of drug taking here. That is not natural.
It's a story for someday when I come to Denver and have a beer with you, man. It's a long story.
Denver's a nice place. You should go to Denver. It's good.
I have a lot of friends in Denver. Most of my circle, probably half my circle, moved to Denver.
Denver has a weird like a Giants base, or at least it did back in the day. Like a Giants fan base. And Sturdy says, yeah, I got to do it. Dr. Smash. Dr. Smash.
Dr. Forbes is the doctor of the family, and we can keep it that way.
No, I really think I think that would actually, she would want that. because then she could be like, oh, I'm a real doctor.
No.
You're
I just didn't read. I did read all 100 books though, and I did the whole battery of testing, which
I
was
love that all you got to do is
tough.
go back to school and get a doctorate.
The story,
I-
Mick, really is this. Like, they told me I
Me.
needed 13 more pages for my dissertation. I was like, from where? Because the level of research I was doing was so specific and so like there weren't enough surviving documents to even
I can
finish it.
tell me whatever it is. I can talk for 13 pages, and you can just be like Mick notes.
But then you have to defend it. You have to defend it. Don't forget.
I will. You do not think I can defend it? You don't think? You don't think?
Go ahead and explain that to him real quick.
Yeah,
Bring it on, please. I urge you now. Just tell me what the topic is on.
Oh, Ryan. The other part was this is pre-Chat GPT, so this is like 2016.
Oh,
like,
I can definitely defend 2016. Well,
yeah.
some of it,
But and I like and to a certain extent, that's why like I guess that's my vision of heroes in large part, because like one of the things that you delve into when you go into literature or film, because film's just an extension of literature. Like, I mean, heroes are as old as the first cave painting. You know, it like the first time somebody drew somebody slaughtering 16 buffalo on the edge of a cave. That was like a story, right? That guy was a hero. Holy cow, man! He killed 16 woolly mammoths. You know, like so.
And those stories did. Now I think the influence, like, because when you read a book, and like Paul, I want your take on this too. Like when you're reading a book, you imagine it, right? You're picturing everything. The hero can be whoever. You can be yourself. It can be whoever you want it to be. It's your own movie in your own head. Everybody's is different. It's not with movies. And I think that's where like the definitive, like our movie here, I feel like movies and television more than any other medium moves the needle in terms of life, society, right? What do you guys think? Is that something you guys would agree with?
I think I would agree with that. I don't know. It's hard with me with books because I've never been much of a book reader. You know, I've tried. I did in school just because I had to. I don't hate reading. I just never. I don't get it. You know, like Sam gets it. She'll read a couple books a week because those are movies to her. Like you said, you can create your own worlds. It just never clicked like that with me to where I'm just like, okay, this is just words and I'm reading words. Just never clicked with me in that aspect. So as far as that goes, unfortunately, I'm kind of out.
No. But for movies though, like, would you say that movies and TV, like books, I think do move the needle of society, but I don't think anymore. I think there's been a drastic shift, and I think it's mostly movies now. And I think that's almost sort of a dangerous thing, in my opinion.
I think it is because I do think, you know, I will say, even though, like I said, I don't enjoy reading, I do think reading's important. It's good to use your own imagination to imagine different things or think of things that don't even exist. And I think even though it's nice having someone already make those decisions for you and portray someone how they perceive it, and you don't have to, you know, this character is this or has this or whatever, it's already taken care of. I think that does take away from everyone's creativeness. I do think that's dangerous down the line, especially if that could be someone's only outlet. You know, if he doesn't have parents that encourage him to go outside or make friends or anything like that, I think that could be a problem if all he has is movies, you know. Not to be sound silly, but then you have someone like the cable guy, but
cable guy. I immediately
yeah. And you know what's so funny to me is and it's gonna be my next like move into, because we talk about how does violence and sex and other things, that's the age-old argument, does it affect kids and society and things like that and people? And I honestly, I'm starting to take it from this point of view is I don't think it's the violence. I don't think it's the sex, because like you can turn on the news and see that, or you can turn on anything and see that. I really do think that characters that we see and we're revering on this, whatever it is, and like how we just present them, you know, whether it be in marketing or just the movie itself or anything like that, are what like moves that needle of society. Like, and I'll tell you, one thing I miss that's a trend right now when it comes to mostly heroes, which always sort of been there, but like villains is really where it's starting to bug me. Why does everything have to be so deep? Why does every villain have to have this sympathetic side? Why can't, like, stop trying to humanize Hitler?
Right.
You know, is what I'm trying to say, is like, stop, like, I don't need it. I don't need it, because no matter what he did before or what we could have done or save him or whatever, didn't stop what happened. So leave the villain sometimes. I'm not saying we can't have sympathetic villains.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those sympathetic villains are starting to get more of a shine, and our heroes are starting to be diminished more.
Right.
Because everybody's a fucking hero now.
Do you think? So I've had this. I mean, like,
I think there's something
before.
to what you said earlier about that, though.
Do you think that media, because that's what I mean, kind of what we're talking about is like, do you think the media is a reflection of people, or people are a reflection of media? And I think the answer to that is really important, because I think that what you see in the media is a reflection of what you are. And part of the reason that people are elevating villains, because they really are, because that's what you can say it is. It's like they're elevating the characteristics of villains, seeking out specific things that are inside them. And they think, like, I think that we have a crisis of people who don't think they're very good people.
Yeah, and in fact, to add to that, my reasoning for us seeing ourselves in the villains in movies now isn't because that's the way they're written, like, on purpose. I think it's just how even the writers are feeling, because who is the enemy of politicians? Who is the enemy of rich people? Who is the enemy of media? Us. They want us to think we are terrible and we need to want to improve ourselves, or, you know, that we are always just the worst in all of their minds. And when you get shown that in everything you watch, you know, and like the news and everything, and reality TV and everything else, the worst parts of humanity, to show us that we're terrible, that's what we're going to think. And what I kind of like about the sympathetic villain is, if that is the case, if that's how we see ourselves, and you are in fact right, and I'm right about this, that's how we see ourselves, then at least now we're starting to see ourselves come out as the hero.
Okay.
I hope so. I like what Ryan said there. Like, I do the gray, right? If that's what you want to call it. So Thanos is a really good example of this. And it's why he's such a great villain. But I do think there's a difference. So, to a certain extent, I think what you're talking about, Mick, is something like Walter White, right? The Walter White syndrome. If I were going to, like, TV or film school right now, that would be something that I would take on. Why do so many people watch Breaking Bad and they think, I want to be Walter White? Right? Like, what's the motivation behind that? What's the, like, or if you want to take Rick and Morty, like, Rick is a sympathetic anti-hero, but at the same time, no human being should want to be the loneliest man in the universe. Yet you see scores of people, like, you know, wanting or associating to a certain extent themselves with him. So there's a difference between, like, Thanos, who I can see his side, which makes a good villain, right? Seeing their side makes a good villain, but nobody wants to see Thanos win, you know? Meanwhile, Walter White, you see scores of people talking about, like, God, why doesn't he just kill Skylar? And sometimes I thought that while I was watching the show. I was like, geez, she's just in his way.
Yep.
That, I think, is different. And, like, so it's weird. The complex characters are wonderful to watch, but at the same time.
But I almost, like, I prefer, like, and like, so let's take Wicked. I know you hate it, Paul. I know you hate it. But let's take the story for real quick, and not the overall themes.
Yep.
But she is the good guy at the beginning of that, and then by the end, she's the bad guy, right? You know, because that's how she's been positioned. And that's the sympathetic villain that is now a hero is what I'm saying. Like,
Yep.
and I think that's where it works in movies is when you know they're the hero. Like the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz cannot be sympathetic in any way, shape, or form, and that movie doesn't work at all.
She's merely a foil of the Glinda.
Yeah. So it's and so when we get to Wicked, which different world and such, so you get to that and you are seeing like she's always been good, if she's just misunderstood. And then you go back to a lot of the other villains where it's like that. It's their story. They're the ones that are leading the charge. They are the heroes. They are the mega minds, for lack of a better term. It's not the hero story. But then if you go, but like you can't tell Superman and have Lex Luthor have that same story like you did in Smallville. You need that however long show to build that arc.
I often find myself rooting for Lex Luthor. So,
of fucking course you do.
Yes.
Course you do. Of course.
We've had that discussion. I find Superman's tendencies to be fascist inherently. So, which is the ultimate.
I know he's not on your list.
He was derived as like a counter to fascism, but like truth, justice, and the American way for whom?
For the two Jewish writers that created him.
I gotta say one thing.
Did you think they created him for America? Did you think that? Old FDR ran out and was like, "We need a new such and such hero," and then like they were like,
I didn't like. But the other part was my introduction to Superman was The Dark Knight Returns. So
that's not. It's not even his story.
I can't control. That's how it was introduced.
That is 100% a parody on Reaganism.
100%. 100%. But like, I mean, I think I was 8. So it was like 91 when I read that. You need like Christopher Reeve pumped into your veins. I hate those movies. There's such romantic twaddle spot, man. Like,
oh my god,
not complex. Like Christopher Reeves is 0% has 0% complexity. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor often is doing what he thinks is best for humanity. And like,
so, what'd you think?
You barely didn't see those movies.
What did you say, Paul?
Did you see Brightburn?
Oh, I loved it.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
Because I loved Brightburn. I like the complexity associated with Brightburn. It's like tells this story, right? The reality is this is that like Superman would never be that. You know who he'd be? The boys. That's who he would be. Superman would be the boys. And I love that show. Nothing is sacred. They tear down every trope. And there is no hero other than being the good person in the moment. And like, I'm sorry, Mick, you know I feel this way. One of my favorite moments.
You're wrong on so many levels, and I don't have the time to get into this, so I have to hold my tongue. We need to do an episode when Superman comes out. We're gonna have a Superman dedicated episode and really get into this because I can't do this right now.
Fun.
Superman was a huge influence on Smash's life. I heard he used to take his clothes off in phone booths.
We have to explain what phone booths are to anybody born in the past 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like I much like one of the people on my list viewed Superman as the ultimate threat to humanity when I read those stories. So,
well, speaking of which, let's do our top 5 countdown of movie heroes. And it makes me sad that I added Superman like that.
I know it's great. It's awkward. I totally get it.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with number 5. If you guys are just joining us, this is top 5 countdown, where we just pick different things, usually in line with whatever we're talking about, and we list off our top 5s. Today is movie heroes. Do you guys have any parameters on yours? I have a parameter on mine.
The parameter I put on myself, they had to be influential in my life, but also mainstream. So like I have a wide scope in terms of what a hero is in the first place, And so I didn't want to go real. I didn't go like indie with it, I guess, so to speak. Like I went for some of the low hanging fruit because they truly are my favorite heroes. So
Nothing wrong with that.
Nice.
How about you, Paul? What you got? Any parameters on yours?
So my parameters were just my top 5 favorite hero types, and then I just had to pick them for each one. So I explained why. That makes so
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Parameters I put on mine are my top 5 heroes that taught me something about having integrity. So just kick it off with number 5. And I'm going to kick it off with you, Schmash. What's your number 5, sir?
Ash Williams.
Ooh,
I like it. You know, people would call him an anti-hero, and that's just not true. He's not an anti-hero. You know, he's definitely not a superhero or anything. He's almost like originally a reluctant hero, I would say. And then he comes into his own in Army of Darkness, and especially, you know, the TV show, like Ash versus the Evil Dead. He's peak Ash at that point, even though he's old.
No.
And like, he's quippy. He's a good guy. He does the right thing, even if it's all about getting the girl. In D&D, he'd be a chaotic good character, you know. Like, I dig him. I dig Ash Williams.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Paul, what you got for number 5?
Number 5, I went with my tragic hero, and I went with Dom Cobb from Inception.
Okay. I like that. And a tragic hero you went with. I dig that. All right. What about him stands out to you?
I guess just kind of that relatability of sometimes, you know, I'm not going to put all my personal stuff on blast, but just being able to connect that, you know, they're personal things that I know I need to get over, but I'm still hanging on to X, Y, and Z because I don't want to forget, you know, said person or said thing. So like the whole thing with his wife and the flashbacks and all that, I absolutely get that because you sometimes just want to hold on to something. He was a good guy. He was willing to go to extremes to get what he needed. But yeah,
love that.
I love it. That's a great answer. Thank you.
Does he get his kids?
Did he?
Yeah. How does he think he get? I think he did because I don't think the top was his thing.
It's not his totem.
His token, his totem. I think it was his wedding ring.
I like that.
So I don't know, but and he always had it on, so we knew he wasn't. You know, so I don't know.
See, I'd like to think he would because he never thought of like the distant dream of that past a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Because he couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to see his kids again or hear their voices for real. So I think he did end up getting back to them just because of that ending.
I love it. Optimistic ending. I dig that. All right. My number 5 is Will Kane from High Noon, who was a great character. If you've never seen this movie, it's one of the greatest Westerns of all time, if not the greatest Western of all time. Gary Cooper, Grace Kelly, just truly amazing. I cannot say enough about it. Made it a time about McCarthyism and the blacklist, and just such a beautifully done movie that encapsulates all of that heroism, but not about the hero. It was his courageousness, his bravery. That's what I learned from this character. A man who, against all odds, still stuck up for what he believed, and he stuck to his commitment, and he stayed brave through it all. So, Will Kane from High Noon, highly recommend. All right, number 4, Dr. Smash. Well, pre-Dr.
My number 4 is Luke Skywalker. You know, the chosen one. Growing up, like everybody else, I pretended I was, you know, and it was hard to choose between him and Indiana Jones. I just chose Luke because honestly, like, I always appreciated his journey in all three movies. And he truly embodies like living up to the things that you're fated for. And I really dig that.
I love that. That is a really great answer. Thank you.
Simple, but yeah.
I dig that a lot. How about you, Paul? What's your number 4?
So my number 4, we're going to go with the anti-hero, and I went with John Wick. And I'm not. Yes, that's mainly the whole basis. Is I'd like to think if someone killed my dog, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, you guys, but I'm saying you need to get some retribution for that. Like that's your pup. That's your. I'm a big dog person, so 100%. And he's totally an anti-hero because he slaughters how many people now? Like it's up to 400 kills. So he's not the good guy for all intents and purposes. But yeah,
that dude's
that's my
like
anti-hero.
That dude's like, if you took the ticket against me, you die. Like that's
Yeah.
it. At what point? At what movie? Because there's going to be a 5. So
Yeah.
at point is what movie do they finally say, all right, can we just leave him alone? Can we just
Isn't
get him?
isn't there a TV show too called The Continental coming?
Yep.
Yeah,
it came out. It's on Peacock. It was.
It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was out. That's my bad.
Ryan says John Wick is his number 1 top assassin. I quit my training after 200 kill, so I got bored. I love it. All right, my number 4 is Virgil Tibbs from In the Heat of the Night. He's so virtuous. Like he lives for the virtue. He is virtue. That's it. Like he's doing.
I've actually never seen the film, only the TV show.
It's so the film is just top notch. But like he taught me about standing tall, standing proud, being who you are, not letting anybody take that away from you, or knock that away from you. Especially with when the movie took place, who was in the movie, where it took place, the whole 9, like all of the themes in that movie. But he played it. Sidney Poitier played everything perfect, but he played it just so beautifully, and it was just truly an amazing movie hero, in my opinion. So that is my number 4, and then we're gonna go on to number 3, the big 3. What you got for me? Might get a little sad here.
Number 3 for me is Wolverine. Growing up, I don't see, like, I know other people have qualified him as an anti-hero and they've written about it. I don't agree with that analysis at all. Obviously he's not like your typical hero, but I do think that, again, like I live in this area of you just do what's right at the time. And I remember watching the comics after reading some of the comics, watching X-Men, and then those X-Men movies came out in the late 90s, and I was like, this is exactly how I pictured Wolverine. And then fast forward to Logan, which I think is a top 20 movie of all time, a perfect film. Oh, yeah. Logan just shows that no matter how far you get from center, you can always come back. And I think that's a really good lesson.
Love it. It's a good one. Wolverine. All right. Paul, what you got?
So my number 3 is going to be the reluctant hero. And I can't tell you how many times Sam and I have watched these movies, but I went with Harry Potter because he nonstop will tell you he doesn't want to end, like he doesn't want to be the guy, but he is the guy.
I call bullshit on that. That kid was all about it. He lived under a staircase. Of course he wanted to be the guy. He was like, I'm important for like 3 seconds. I was like, I don't even get gifts.
But Harry Potter is just amazing. So I guess that's my only real connection with him. Is just,
I think I called him Wand Jesus in my analysis in undergrad.
I can see that. That makes sense.
Space
Jesus, Wand Jesus, Sand Jesus. Like,
oh no, you misunderstood that book. He's not a hero. He's not an anti-hero. He's the bad guy. He's the bad guy. We get into this all day, but I'm gonna go with my number 3, which is George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life.
You love that movie.
I love that movie. He always stood up for his community. What reluctantly or not, I would say reluctant hero. He always wanted to go off and do his thing, but he stuck around. He stayed with it. He was always there. He suffered. I mean, dude dealt with a lot. So, and through it, afterwards, God threw him a bone. which was nice. God, it's nice.
Love it.
I love so I just love the way he stood up to. Again, I like when they're fuck the billionaires, fuck the millionaires, whatever they are. Except for President Donald J. Trump, who is great. I mean it. Number 3. Number 2.
Speaking of ultra billionaires, Batman. I love Batman.
You're so different on ours.
I love Batman so much. I remember in 1989 when Tim Burton's Batman came out, and I got it on VHS and I watched it on repeat as a 6 and 7 year old. Like I was obsessed. Batman, everything, and suddenly Luke Skywalker and Indiana Jones and all the rest of it, Ghostbusters, they all went in the closet, and all I cared about was Batman. I think that Batman represents the best of what we can be, sure, with billions of dollars, but he stands against the night, for lack of a better way to put it. And I love pretty much every depiction of him. And I'm soft on you know this, Mick hates this. I'm soft on the 2 bad Batman movies. I'm soft on them. I enjoyed watching them, but I think that like Batman represents the best of what humans can be. Humans.
If you have billions of dollars, if you're in the top 1%, you can be Batman. If you're not, you can get in shape.
Kill to be Batman, man.
Your car's not going to be bulletproof or anything. Anyway, I can't do that. I'm gonna have to debate in this right now. I can't debate Batman versus Superman. All right.
My favorite line. You know what my
Nope.
parents taught me? Dying in the gutter. Like that's what a great line.
God.
You can't kill that which came from the dirt, Mick.
Paul, what do you got for number 2?
My number 2, I went with the everyman hero, and I think so. Since John Wick was on the list, obviously it's one of my top. So I think on the other hand, a movie that I found very, I guess, more realistic, like actually kind of made more sense and wasn't as fantastic as John Wick was Nobody. So I went with Hutch from Nobody.
Great.
Oh,
I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're very twisted, Paul.
I'm a fucked up person, Mick. I know it. You know it. You guys know it as viewers or listeners. I'm sorry.
All of Mick's heroes are lawful good. All of mine are chaotic good. All of Paul's are chaotic neutral. If you notice.
I love it. All right, so my number 2, and I picked from a specific movie because this one taught me loyalty, the integrity of loyalty. And that is Captain James T. Kirk from Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock.
Hell yeah.
Specifically 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, all comes into frame when it comes to James T. Kirk. This movie, as much as Khan is such an amazing movie and has one of the best friendship movie scenes of all time, one of the best heartbreaking movie scenes of all time, one of the best movie deaths of all time, I can go on forever. It's this movie that really shows, I think personally, the loyalty of the entire bridge crew. You see it a lot, but like in a TV show, sporadic form where the couple were together here and there doing this. In the first movie, it really wasn't. They were kind of like torn all asunder, trying to get used to it. The second one,
the writer and the director's fault, though. The first movie,
yeah, well, of course. But the second one, so good, so great, but it is wartime, and you don't get that the camaraderie. Like this one, you do, and it has a desperate. It's a desperate search for his friend and all that. He's just loyal to everyone, and even his loyalty being tested with his son at the end. So that's what I'm gonna say.
Awesome.
That's my number 2. And number 1.
Number 1 for me and it's unquestionably Optimus Prime. I feel like I got my own code of honor from him. Like I
Number one with a
makes
bullet.
a big Home Alone.
No, not with the bullet. Not with the bullet. Number one with perfect precision.
Nice.
In fact, I think I might make him my number one just to show my love.
I think that like Optimus Prime has, and the best part is that like the guy who voiced it, I always forget his name, but I went to this special for the 30th anniversary that like where they interviewed Peter Cullen. It was Peter Cullen and Welker, Frank Welker, and they interviewed them and they did this whole thing where they voiced the first episode live, and it was really cool. But the code of honor is based on his brother who served in Vietnam and came home a hero. And I think that like heroes know how to sacrifice what's necessary. And I'll honestly never forget being 3 years old and getting traumatized in the theater when Optimus Prime died and my mom had to bring me out of the theater.
Spoilers.
Because I was completely losing my mind as a child. She could not get me calmed down. And
did you think he was coming back?
I was like, I'd already kind of understood it. Like I have vague memories of like my life at that time. I just remember her pulling me out of the theater. She's embarrassed.
Yeah.
Of course it's, 1986. I got smacked, like, but it's this thing where like he inspired everything in these undercards, these guys that were vastly overmatched by the Decepticons always, and he was a great leader. And even in the new, I have a soft spot for the Bay movies, even though I shouldn't. They're just absolute trash. But like I still enjoy watching them because the second Optimus Prime comes on screen, I am 5 years old sitting in front of the TV eating my cereal again. So Optimus Prime, man, he represents what I hope is the best about me.
If I remember correctly, after he died in the movie, Optimus Prime didn't come back until Beast Wars.
He does. He comes back in season 4 of Transformers.
Does he? Oh, okay. I thought for some reason it was like years later in Beast Wars he came back.
Oh man, am I showing my nerd? So he comes back twice. In season 3, he comes back as a bad guy with these spores that bring his, robot body back alive. And then 4, they find a way to bring him back in a 5-part episode. And it's the Many Faces of Optimus Prime, it's called, if I remember right. They have to basically piece him back together because of a crisis with Galvatron. So
pussies.
Deep Transformers die for the day.
Let the man die. Just like let the robot die. Just leave it alone. Let it go. No, I'm just kidding. All right, Paul, who's your number one on your list?
My number one hero. I kind of cheated, so you guys bear with me. Don't hate on me too much. But I went with Chris Kyle from American Sniper. Honestly, awesome. That movie kind of made me like, I'm not saying I'd never respected a service member before, but that really showed how much, to me, movie wise, that showed really how much they sacrifice and how much they put their own emotions even to the side. And even when they're breaking, they're still doing what they think is best for his country. And I thought it was beautiful. And I thought it was a beautiful moment when he calls his wife and he's like, it's time. Like, I'm ready to be home. Because I think a lot of times, we hear about heroes, especially due to war, and we don't hear about the mental illness. And I think that movie and his story, it just does a great job of just covering everything. So I went with Chris Kyle from American Sniper.
Awesome.
Yeah. My number one is, I pulled it up. It's Wreck-It. It's Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph.
I'm gonna wreck it. God, I love that pick, Mick. I love that pick.
I think he's such a great hero, and teaches you that doesn't matter what labels people have for you, you can be your own hero. Go out there, save the day. I love Wreck-It Ralph. I think it's
a great movie.
A great message about self-acceptance too. Like that's it. It like what a wonderful film. Both of them. I enjoyed both of them a lot. Yeah. I actually in the theater, I my wife and I took 2 kids to see it, and they were, kids, so they didn't start tearing up or anything. But Ralph is diving towards the thing at the end. He's like, I'm all I'm just me, and that's okay. My wife and I are like, collapsing in on ourselves. And the 2 kids looked at us like, what the hell is wrong with you? And like, but I love a good redemption sacrifice story anyway. He is a great hero, Mick. I love it because he it goes back to that idea of it's what is inside that counts. And like, I think that Ralph, he's like the accidental hero and then becomes the real hero at the end. When he understands
I disagree. I think he always had the heart of a hero. It was the labels that were being told him and the box he was being put in that once he struck out from that, was inspired by his friend, he became the hero that he actually was. I think we all have it in us. So that'll be my message to end off our top 5. We all have a hero inside of us, except Paul. It's a demon. Mick's movie pick this week. You got this, my pick this week. It's Film Noir month. I went with one of my absolute favorites, and if you go any certain day, I will tell you one or the other. I think are either this Double Indemnity from 1944 or The Third Man from 42, I believe, are the greatest film noirs of all time. One or the other, I will flip-flop. But Double Indemnity is truly a fantastic movie. We are doing a full, it comes out tomorrow, classic film review, which you can go listen to a couple of the behind-the-scenes, things like that, learn a little bit about the movie. But if you have not seen this, Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray and Edward G. Robinson are brilliant. This is the template for what a film noir should be. And if you haven't seen it, go, I beg you. And I'm gonna do a little write-up on it over on Letterboxd as well, so you can follow me there. But yeah, that's gonna be out tomorrow. Double Indemnity 1944. Go check it out. It'll be up on the channel. Make sure to like, subscribe, and remember, we're also covering the James Bond movies for the first quarter of the year. So this Thursday, I will have my review of You Only Live Twice up. And then Friday, I will have On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Awesome.
It is. I'm super excited. It's been a wild ride. I've had fun, everyone. Thank you guys for coming on, talking heroes with me. This was an impromptu live. We were supposed to do a recorded, but I didn't really want to do all the editing and stuff later. So thank you guys for watching, being a part of it, commenting along, listening to all of our stuff. I mean, it's just 2 guys' opinions and a doctor. Who knows?
Not a doctor. Not
13 pages away from being a doctor. Adopted.
Oh,
and
I'm adopted.
Just like Superman, the greatest hero of all.
But I have no powers or fucking abilities. I'm just an asshole.
Oh my God. I often think about that. I often think about, I'm like, if you gave me Superman's powers, I'm just like, don't do it.
I'd be Brightburn. 100% I would be.
I couldn't, don't do it. Like, because I would
throw myself into a kryptonite barrel. Self-delete.
Better man than me.
100%. I'm like, no one man should have all that power, to quote Kanye.
Well, he's God. He's not. Okay.
Yeezy.
Yeezy. I didn't mean him.
I don't know. No one man should. No, he's a threat.
That your final thoughts?
Yes, 100%.
Superman is a threat. You heard it here first, Dr. Smash. Paul, what do you got?
Keep watching, keep listening, keep loving the magic of movies. My PSA for everybody is when it's cold outside or it's snowing, especially in fucking North Carolina, stop buying all the milk and bread, because I don't know what you're magically going to make when you lose electricity and whatnot, but it's fucking ridiculous.
And it's going to spoil.
Just so you know. Like, what do you like, clear out all the aisles for what? Like, we get snow for a day. You guys know North Carolina. We get it a day. The next day it's going to be clear. What are you doing all? What are you doing? What are you making?
End of the
Because I don't
year.
know.
Come on.
They're
They
not
make-
even making bread pudding. Like, what the fuck are they? Anyway, stop doing it.
They're getting ready for next week.
Fuck.
Not
We'll
even
see what
making bread
happens.
pudding.
Where it's all
Yeah.
Russian roulette everywhere. Just
Yeah.
don't know what's happening.
Brian and I were grilling out steak burgers during the storm. It wasn't that bad. It's okay.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking
Y'all
about.
come up to Michigan. We operated fine today and got in Lansing, which we never get this much. We got about 6 inches of snow. The coast for Lake Effect got about 14, and everything ran just fine. And everybody just went to their jobs and did what they need to do.
They didn't buy all the milk and all the.
They didn't buy all the
bread,
milk. They didn't buy all the eggs.
And you're okay.
Michigan, they're
And
used
we're
to
fine.
snow. No, it's
That's
not
crazy.
the same, dude. It's not the same. Like when we get snow here, they shut down everything in Virginia. And I'm sitting there telling my wife, like, I don't know, we used to just drive in it. Like, what do you want from me? So it is what it is.
Kids haven't been at school all week. They don't even. I think they have a delayed start tomorrow too.
Well, listen, we can bitch and moan about all day about not having eggs or it's milk, but
The secret is Paul actually is the person who bought all the eggs and milk.
I'm lactose intolerant. That's a lie.
All right. All right, I gotta get serious. Shut up. I gotta end the show. Guys, February 1st, 2025, we're gonna be doing another Casters for a Cause live charity stream. We're doing it for like 10 hours or something like that. Bunch of us are getting together. We're gonna try and raise funds for the Red Cross efforts towards the LA wildfires. A lot going on out there. As you guys know, I was a former firefighter. And my heart goes out to all of them out there fighting these insane fires that seem to only be getting worse. And I just truly hope that something gives soon. And my thoughts.
Anybody that donates $100
no, stop. Come on. No, seriously, stop.
during either of my sections. So I'm doing two. I got Arcade After Dark, and I'm doing a Master Shakes mixology.
I don't want to do that.
Anybody who donates $100, I am diving off the top of a ladder through a table, WWE style. Anything for charity. Anybody who donates $100
we'll see
in that
about that.
segment.
I don't want anybody getting hurt. Anyway, guys. All right, I'm micking you guys so I can tell them all about this. So I love you guys. And thank you to my co-host, my wonderful co-host doing the show. We'll be back next week. But remember, guys, we are going to be doing a charity live stream to benefit the Red Cross efforts. I'm trying to get the GoFundMe together, but something's going on with GoFundMe. But I will have that up as soon as I can. Make sure you join in for that. It will be starting around 3 p.m. Eastern that day, and we'll be going all night long with us just getting a little crazy. So I just want to say thank you all. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember, that's very, very important. Be kind to each other. And until next time, we'll all see you later. Take care.